It always starts imperceptibly small, not with a dramatic sacrifice that you can point to later and analyze, not with a grand moment of conscious self-betrayal that you recognize immediately as a turning point, but with something quiet, subtle, almost invisible to your own awareness in the moment. You're getting ready for Friday night. You suggest the movie you've been genuinely wanting to see for weeks, and instantly, reflexively, before she can even respond, you take it back. We can watch whatever you want. You don't even notice the fundamental shift happening in real time. You think you're being thoughtful and considerate, kind, flexible, a good partner doing what good partners do. But what you're really doing is abandoning yourself by habit, by deeply ingrained conditioning. Not out of genuine love, but out of fear. Fear of disappointing her. Fear of starting an unnecessary argument. Fear of losing her interest. Fear of being seen as selfish. Fear of being rejected and alone. You convince yourself that this is what a good man does, that this is what keeps a relationship strong and stable over time. But deep down, in the place you systematically avoid looking, you know exactly what's happening to you. You are shrinking. Every compromise chips away at your identity. Every concession teaches you to silence your authentic voice. Every ignored preference dissolves a piece of your self-respect. You don't become a better man through this process. You become a safer one, a softer one, a predictable one, a man defined by approval, not by principles or convictions. This is where most men lose themselves completely. Not in one dramatic moment they can point to and say that's when it happened, but through 1,000 small betrayals of their own authenticity. And once a man loses himself, once that core identity dissolves, everything else follows inevitably. His confidence erodes, his attractiveness fades, his relationships deteriorate, because a man without a core has nothing to offer. Every pleaser lives under the same seductive illusion that society has carefully constructed. If I give enough, she'll love me. If I sacrifice enough, she'll choose me. If I abandon myself completely, I'll finally be enough for her. But here's the truth. No one ever taught you clearly. Women are not attracted to sacrifices. They are attracted to standards. Your self-sacrifice doesn't earn admiration or devotion. It earns expectation. The more you give freely, the less she values it. The more you bend to accommodate, the more she pushes. The more you surrender your preferences, the less she respects you. Why does this counterintuitive dynamic exist? Because the psychology is brutally simple and rooted in evolutionary behavior. Human beings cannot deeply appreciate what costs you nothing, and when you give yourself away freely, constantly, desperately, your presence becomes cheap in her perception. You stop being a man she actively chooses. You become a man who simply doesn't say no to anything, and nobody values what never says no, what never stands firm, what never pushes back. Let's strip away the comfortable excuses you've been using to rationalize this behavior. You're not being generous when you sacrifice yourself. You're being afraid. You're not being supportive when you abandon your preferences. You're being dependent on her approval. You're not being thoughtful when you silence yourself. You're being compliant. Your relationship is not built on genuine connection. It's built on conflict avoidance, approval chasing, and emotional appeasement. When you silence yourself, you think you're preventing problems and maintaining harmony. But what you're really doing is creating a more dangerous problem beneath the surface. She cannot trust a man who cannot stand up to her. She cannot relax into your leadership if you crumble at minor pressure. She cannot respect a man whose identity evaporates to keep her comfortable. And she cannot feel sustained attraction to a man who doesn't value himself enough to hold boundaries. Men believe compliance earns love. Women interpret compliance as weakness. This is the fatal mismatch that destroys countless relationships. When a man abandons his boundaries to keep a woman happy, she does not think he's so loving. He's so thoughtful. He's such a good man. No, she thinks, if he can't even stand up to me, how will he stand up to the world when it matters? If he doesn't value his own time and preferences, why should I? If he needs my approval this desperately, How can I ever trust his leadership? Is this even the real him, or just a carefully constructed version designed to please me? Women crave a man who has a spine, a man who has convictions that don't shift, a man who makes decisions confidently, a man who leads with clear purpose, not a man who constantly rearranges himself to avoid losing her. Because the moment she senses that your identity fundamentally depends on her approval, her attraction begins to die systematically. Here's the progression almost every man follows. You stop asserting small preferences. Whatever you want is fine with me. You stop holding boundaries. It's okay, really. I don't mind at all. You suppress your honest opinions. No, I'm not upset. I'm good. You let her lead all decisions. It doesn't matter. You choose. You overfunction emotionally. You fix, soothe, apologize constantly. You become hyper-available, always texting back immediately, always responding, always present. You disconnect from your mission. Your life becomes relationship-centered. You lose your masculine polarity. You become emotional wallpaper in your own life. And then you wonder, with genuine confusion, why she's irritated, bored, distant, or resentful. You think you weren't good enough. You think you didn't try hard enough. You think love requires even more sacrifice on your part. But the truth is considerably darker. She fell for a man. She ended up with a servant. Attraction cannot survive that transformation no matter how much you try. Men don't become pleasers randomly or by accident. They're systematically shaped into it. It comes from one or more of these origins. A father who was absent or emotionally unpredictable. A mother whose approval was conditional on compliance. Early relationships where conflict led to punishment or abandonment. Society teaching you that male assertiveness is toxic masculinity. Rejection trauma from formative experiences. Low self-worth established in childhood. Believing love must be earned through performance rather than given freely. You weren't born without boundaries. They were taken from you through conditioning. But here's the crucial part you must accept. You are now responsible for rebuilding them. No one is coming to restore your masculine center for you. And no woman can love you into self-respect. This journey belongs to you alone. You want a relationship where you're genuinely respected. You're valued for who you are. You're desired authentically. You're trusted completely. Your voice matters. Your boundaries stand firm. Your purpose leads. Your presence brings stability. This cannot happen until you rebuild your masculine core from the foundation up. There are 4 foundational pillars that support this reconstruction. Pillar 1. The return to purpose. A man without a mission collapses into relationships and loses himself. Your work, your goals, your craft, these form the spine of your identity. Recenter your life on what you're building in the world, not who you're trying to impress, not whose approval you're seeking, but what legacy you're creating. Pillar 2. Boundaries that actually mean something real. A boundary is not a preference, is not a polite request. A boundary is a standard tied to consequence. I don't tolerate disrespect. If it happens again, I leave. That is a genuine boundary. Boundaries make you trustworthy because they demonstrate you can protect yourself and therefore can protect others. Pillar 3. Emotional sovereignty. Men lose themselves when they outsource emotional stability to women. You need to become a man who stays grounded regardless of her moods, her reactions, or her approval. You remain calm, you remain steady, you remain yourself. She can trust a man whose emotions do not swing with hers. Pillar 4. Selectivity. Most men are desperate to be chosen by any woman who shows interest, but masculine strength comes from choosing deliberately. Evaluate her values, her maturity, her emotional regulation, her character, her habits, her loyalty, her respect for your boundaries. When you select instead of seeking selection, your entire energy changes fundamentally. You move from applicant to authority. This shift alone rewrites attraction dynamics. When a man reclaims himself, he shows up differently in every interaction. He speaks clearly without apology. He says what he means. He chooses without seeking permission. He protects his peace ruthlessly. He accepts conflict as necessary. He stands firm. He leads calmly. He walks away when necessary. He gives from strength, not fear. And something powerful happens. Women stop testing him constantly. They start respecting him naturally. They feel safer, not because he pleases them, but because he anchors them. Your presence becomes weighty again. Your words mean more. Your yes carries real value. Your no carries authority. You go from replaceable to irreplaceable. You don't become attractive by abandoning yourself. You become attractive by becoming yourself fully, unfiltered, unapologetic, uncompromising in your standards, unshakable in your purpose. A man with boundaries, a man with discipline, a man with direction. A man who is whole before a woman enters his life. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to choose wisely, to build deliberately, to lead confidently, to grow continuously, to evolve, to become the kind of man who does not negotiate his value, not for anyone. Here is your next step. Today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today, you stop negotiating with fear. You stop editing yourself for approval. You stop tiptoeing around rejection. You stop shrinking to avoid losing someone. You stop betraying yourself to be liked. From this moment forward, your boundaries are real. Your voice is real. Your standards are real. Your purpose is the center of your life. Your identity is non-negotiable. You stop being the man women use, and you become the man women respect, because the truth is simple. A man who stands in his own truth never stands alone.